Hey everybody, I'm your host Aaron Shimmons. This is Trail Talk Live. Back for another week. How tired do I look? Because I drove 12 hours yesterday from Holscamp after the GPT100. But I had to get back because it's another Tuesday morning in Australia and a Monday night in Europe. And we've got Trail Talk Live, so let's get Ricky in. I can see he's in the chat.
All right, mate. What's the story?
Do I look tired?
You're not too bad. You're not too bad. Considering, you're not too bad. You're not too bad. How
I'll
are you
take it.
feeling? How's the
I'll take
body?
it. Let's get into it, but let's intro the show. This is Trail Talk Live, back for another week. I'm Aaron Shimmons. This is
Ricky Wynn.
You're in Ireland. I'm in Sydney. We do this every week. If you can't stick around on Instagram, catch up on Spotify, Apple, YouTube. You get those episodes from tomorrow in about 12 hours time. Actually, is whenever they get published. So you can catch up there. Links are in the bio. We've got some sponsors. I'm not going to shout them out. Just go to the link in the bio. Go to the link in the description. Your affiliate links, we get a couple of points. You get some good discounts. So use them. That helps us put on at least one, but usually two podcasts every week. Ricky, I'm quite tired. I woke up this morning and I just turned around in the bed and put my feet up on the wall.
Mm,
After a 13-hour drive back yesterday, the ankles were no longer slender, athletic ankles where you could see every vein and bone. They were just big chunks.
yeah, the same width the whole way down from the hip, like.
The drive is not good for the legs, the hips. Absolutely, like the drive destroyed me. 13
Yeah.
hours it took, and that was three stops along the way, which was a walk, lunch, and dinner. And then I got home at 9:30.
Oh, no, man, oh man. When you think about it too, like we'd say, like we'll get into how long it took you to actually do the race, right? So you have the race, you have the 12-hour drive to get to the race, and then the 12-hour drive to get home from the race. Oh man, that's insanely hard on the body, hey.
Yeah. So the agenda for today's show is we got some questions on Instagram about the GPT 100. We obviously have to talk about our training update and our segment that we'll get into. And for us, uh, we're always in different phases of something, but you are in the week post Mallorca by UTMB,
Mm,
100K, where you still had a quick run, but you didn't have your preferred run, let's call it.
yeah.
You put up a nice post on Instagram just sharing some of those feelings. So why don't we just touch on that before we get into my feelings?
Yeah, yeah. I suppose, yeah, it's like I think we all have these feelings, right? I'm not down in the dumps. There's nothing to do like that. It's a feeling when your season's over and when you've done something where a race hasn't gone to plan, or like there's other people in the group that have had a DNF or a race that just didn't go the way they were expecting it or the way they wanted, or even a little injury picks up or comes along, and what you're doing is you're on Instagram, you're on social media, you're on all the live trackers, you're looking at friends and even let's say enemies, you're looking at other people that are racing
Frenemies.
all over the world, frenemies, yeah, and you're just looking at stuff and you're feeling a little bit sad because you know you're not doing it, you're not feeling those same feelings that everyone else is feeling, but we all get these feelings. So I just felt like I wanted to put up a post to like touch on that you know it is a thing. I think the runner's blues is a real thing. It's where I have these humongous highs from doing really well, and I could have like 10 races that go perfect, and I could have a season that goes amazing, and I could be on top of the world with my confidence. And one little thing, we're so fragile, aren't we? Like one little thing, and then it's like, ah. I feel a bit shit now, you know.
Make that wee
It's
noise again. Go, make that wee noise again.
oh. Well,
No, but it's so true because like the relief I had from even finishing GPT, not because
mm,
I doubted I could do it, but because the previous race didn't go to plan. So that just was a burden on my shoulders. As much as I tried to get rid of that thought, that was my last result.
yeah,
I had
yeah,
doubts over my ankle because I had a like a double roll. I had, just lots of the imagination just runs rampant because you haven't uh, you haven't validated yourself or something, so you just got it until the next time.
yeah,
And unfortunately, you're gonna feel these things, and all everyone can really do is acknowledge it, recognize it, and know that it's part of the game.
yeah, yeah. And that's it. That's all it needs. It's just acknowledge it, know it's there. Don't let it like swallow you whole or anything like that. It's just like sort of like it's just part and parcel of it, and then you just move on and you jump into the next training block. You sign up for that next race just to get the motivation back again. You look at what your friends and other people are doing, and you know you get excited for them, and then you just get ready to take on the next thing, like, you know. So it's just part and parcel of it. It's what we all do it. We all go through it, whether you're the elite of the elite or you're, you know, a backpacker, mid packer. It doesn't really matter. We all have these feelings, like, yeah,
It's just part of the sport. We're not all
yeah,
riding the highs, and even if you do have a finish that you're proud of, there's still the not the deflation, but the loss of purpose
yeah,
is there feels like an emptiness. Like what's the purpose of this now? Because I've trained for months to do this thing, and this thing's now done. What
mm,
next?
mm.
So that's why it's really important, I think, to get another one on the schedule. That
Yeah, but
this is also the time of year when you do that. Like people are
yeah.
planning their years, we're planning next year.
Yeah, but even like would say for you with that double role, we're talking a long time ago, you know, and you had to sit on that for a long time before you got to go and have another crack at a miler and get the job done. Like, so, I mean, that had to be heavy on your shoulders for sure for a lot of that leading into the race. You know what I mean? Because it's been in your thought process for a long time, I'd say.
Well, that happened mid-May, right?
Mm.
Mid-May, and then just as I was getting back, I then fell and broke a rib. So because of that, I missed Sierzanal. I
Yeah.
missed Matterhorn Ultrax. I cancelled my entry for Lake Biwa 100 in October. And that's why I ended up entering GPT because I cancelled one and I thought, well, 5 weeks will remove the rib recovery.
Yeah.
It's all in the past now.
Yeah, yeah, it does.
Got to finish,
Yeah.
mate.
Yeah. Got to finish. Got to finish. Yeah. 100%. Yeah.
So, right, will we move on to some questions? I think have you made a note of them?
Yeah, I've got all the questions. I've got all the questions wrote down here. I
What
suppose,
sort of topics have we got to cover here before
so
we
we're
get
looking
into
at
some?
like, yeah, we're kind of looking at a lot of questions are coming in asking about the course and the conditions, right? And that meaning, like, we'll say the technicality of the course, the terrain, but also the weather, you know, because I do believe there was some weather in your race. So we'll definitely get into that. And then there's performance and strategy, and like, see sort of strategy versus reality. You know, how did it actually go? Did it go to plan? Were you happy with it? Would you change a few things? Lots of little questions like that coming in. So I think we can kick it off with what was the race plan and what was the strategy, and did it go to plan?
I kind of, and not really. Like, does it ever go perfectly to plan? I The only way I even planned stuff was for nutrition. Like, I always, as I said to you, like I always finish around the female podium. So I
Mm,
looked to see where they finished, and that was in that time window of like 28 to 31 hours. and I plant nutrition for that.
Yeah.
And I was hitting all of those times. Like I had a little bit of paper, just wrote down each aid station, and it's 2 to 2.5 hours is the window of time for arrival. And honestly, I hit them all. I was hitting them all day, but I didn't factor in the aid station stopping time.
Mm.
So that actually added more than an hour onto the finish time. So that kind of skewed the time a little bit. But also, look, there was and I'm not sure if Arctic storm is the right way to put it, but the way it was explained to us at the briefing was there is a storm coming through, and where the race is in Australia, like it's a southerly wind. Now in Ireland, when we get a southerly wind, we think, "Oh, happy days!
Mm.
That'll be nice." But we're on our head over here, so that's like you getting a northerly wind. So they were saying this wind's coming straight from Antarctica, and it's going to be cold. So it's going to be up to -9 wind chill and 50-kilometer gusts. So not massively gusty. It did feel way worse than that.
Mm.
But that came in at basically sunset, like maybe like 7:30, 8 o'clock
Yeah, I
started to
was
come
I
in.
was gonna
And it
I was
lasted
gonna ask
for,
you.
yeah, it lasted for all night. Now it was cold the remainder of the thing, but you went up at like I forget even the aid station, but basically it started at 8 o'clock in the morning. At 8 o'clock at night, I was leaving this Mount Williams or Burra Huts aid station, and you go up this 1,200-meter climb, and then you're traversing along 1,000 meters for 20K, and there's no trees. There was a fire, in previous years, a couple of years ago
Yeah.
or something, and so there's no shelter. It's just you, the wind, exposure. Even like the tree stumps, like you go to grab a tree stump, you get covered in black, like you're grabbing coal.
Okay.
So look, the weather threw time off as well.
Yeah. And then like the course itself, how technical was the course?
I thought, and we'd discussed this like privately. How technical is technical? Like everyone's
Mm.
technical is based on their own experience. And
Well, I think you need to compare that with say I'm saying how technical is the course, but let's compare it to a race that you know or that you've done in Europe, let's say.
it's a different type. It's a different type of technical. Like we would tend to describe technical as something that's very steep and rough ground. And
Mm.
obviously the more vert per K means that the ground is steeper. And if the ground's steeper, it's generally more technical, right? Because one
Mm.
extreme of that is using your hands. Like the most steep, you have to use your hands. This ground, the climbs were not technical. Like some of them were steps and steps that cut into the rock and things. And but the ground itself, when you even like up on that plateau, the ground was maybe at like 4% angle.
Yeah.
It's really hard ground, knobbly bits on this rock as well. So if you fall, you could trip easily. If you fell, it would be like falling on a cheese grater. And then you would go through sections like where you're just like weaving through boulders the size of a house, going through a wee hole and then up round. Like I stuck on a reel yesterday that showed
Yeah.
a little bit of
I, s-
that.
I I seen that. Like in fairness, that looked more awkward than anything else. It looked like you couldn't get into a rhythm on that. If there was like a lot of that, that'd be very slow going. Like, and it'd be tiring on the body as well. You're twisting, you've got a pack on you, you're moving in between. Probably not great underfoot there as well. That definitely looked awkward to say the least.
Yeah, that it, one of those things I would say is it was very hard to get a rhythm because of
Mm,
that. Now you could, but you also then had to run with a little bit inside yourself because of the consequence of falling. If you fell,
yeah.
you were hitting rock, and there was a chance you were going to hit pointy rocks. So
Mm.
you're also like running within yourself.
And then we'll say like it's a point to point course. So
Mm.
like along the way, like how much did it change in variation like of terrain? Like we'll say was there a lot of like single track? Was there a lot of open fire road? Was there a lot of technical stuff? Did it change as the race went on, or was it all pretty similar?
I would say maybe in the last 50, it got easier in the sense that there was less of the big rock slabs, but
Yeah,
there was no real fire roads. And even in terms of single track, the whole course was just marked out by little like orange, like Dorito shaped flags, like plastic things that were stuck onto the rock. So there wasn't really necessarily trail. Like it wasn't like, oh, there's the defined trail.
yeah,
It was these are the flags and it's going over slabs of rock.
yeah,
So it didn't let up. It didn't let up at all. There was, I would say, the easiest parts were maybe just the climbs because some of them were steps and you're also going slower.
yeah. Just like like in terms of how you were feeling on the course, like were you enjoying that kind of like terrain? Were you enjoying that kind of a course? Is that something that you were like? I'm not saying you were going to enjoy all of it. It's a 100 mile race, man. I know well you're going to be in the depths of despair at certain times and at different times, but for the most part of it, were you enjoying that run? Like,
I loved it.
yeah, deadly,
Like
deadly.
start to finish, I loved it. There was definitely a few points that were a bit low, but
Mm,
you again, as long as you're aware enough to recognize that that's part of it.
yeah.
And I don't know if there was any questions about nutrition, but I don't think there was. But there was two lows, and I learned something really important during that race. Like I had, if I don't eat solid food every 4-ish hours, I get like hunger pains in my
Mm,
stomach. I was just doing gels, and the options in the aid stations were uh, like the normal fruit and jellies, and then pots of noodle pots and
yeah.
grilled cheese like toasties. So I thought, oh, I'll get a grilled cheese toasty. See, the next hour, I could hardly do anything other than walk. And I
Mm,
wasn't sure, is this just the low or is that because of what I ate? So for a whole like 9K stretch, I just hiked. I just
yeah.
like all the blood had gone to the stomach to deal with the the grilled cheese toasty, and I just couldn't bring myself to run. And then I was back fine
And
again.
was that an energy thing, or was that a heaviness in your stomach, or was it just unsettling?
That the food was so heavy that it drew the
Mm,
blood to the stomach, and therefore the
mm,
legs had no energy.
yeah.
So it's not like the legs felt heavy. I just felt like I had no energy.
And
And I
what stage are we at
confirmed,
there? What stage are we at?
uh, I'm gonna say it was probably, I think it was just at 50K aid station. I had a grilled cheese, so 7 hours in.
But like 50K in, I know you've just had a grilled cheese sandwich, right? But I mean, if you don't know, you don't know, right? So if you have that grilled cheese sandwich and then all of a sudden your legs go, you're only 50K in, are little alarm bells going off in your head thinking, where are my legs gone? We're only 50K in. I've still got 110K to go, like.
Yeah,
Or are
but
you okay with like, okay, we just need to regroup, get the thing going again, and my legs will come back. Like, how are you feeling in that moment?
like I remember leaving that aid station and there was a gentle climb before you got into like this canyon section. And whenever we got up to this canyon section, it was in the afternoon and it felt really hot
Mm,
because you were out of the wind as well. So you were just getting the sun and there was no wind. And I thought, is it the heat? I think the heat maybe made it worse, but I kind of just felt like, what are you gonna do? Like,
yeah.
if you're not gonna, if like, it's not gonna stop you. You got to still move forward. So just put the thought out of your head. Like I kept coming back to like, it doesn't matter. Like, it doesn't fucking
Mm,
matter. Like, you're still moving forward. You're
yeah.
still eating. You don't feel sick. You're still moving forward. I thought maybe I'd pushed a little bit hard coming out of that aid station, but then later on in the race, I I had another grilled cheese, and the same thing happened. So I was like,
Mm.
okay, it's grilled cheese. Don't do it again. So it
Yeah,
happened once, tried it again, and then okay. It's probably just like the cheese rather than the bread, but that made it too heavy.
so what are we talking then? Maybe the next time you want to take on your solid food, you're taking the noodles then instead, and it's probably straight up carbs then, like.
Yeah, I just went noodles. The problem with the noodles is that they weren't very nice. Like they were quite
Mm.
plain, but I had no choice. I just had to do noodles each time.
Yeah.
And watermelon.
But I think I'd be similar in that situation where like I'm usually just gels. But I mean, if it's 100 miler and I know that I'm going to be out for like let's say 24 plus hours, then you really need to start thinking about taking on real food. You can't be just thinking, yeah, you're going to get through on drinking all your hydration, drinking all your calories, and then just hammering gels. I think that's just a recipe for disaster. And anyway, if that stops working, then what are you going to do? So you definitely need to have practiced getting solid food in, and that strategy does really work. It does work even at the elite level, where every 4 hours, a lot of the elites are actually taking on solid food, like you know.
I think like going forward, I should plan just to carry a bar or two,
Mm.
even if it was in those drop bags. Like I didn't have, I when in the drop bags, I had just my gels to lift, which I had like decanted into little soft flasks. So I had to rely on the aid stations for the solid food. I think going forward, it would have been if I had a Bobo bar or something just to chew on,
Yeah,
it maybe would have made the difference.
yeah, like your only two choices are grilled cheese and a pot noodle or whatever. Like so,
Yeah.
yeah, exactly. A bar probably would have just been the trick. Like, but then it's look again. You take that into the next one with you as well. You know, look for me, it's like trying to get my head around the fact that you're out. Like, look, I've done uh TDS and I've done Western States. Let's say they're milers, but they're like I was 23 hours out, right? And for me, that's a long time to be out. That feels like that's a long time to be out. Like I can't even comprehend what it's like to be out for 30 hours. But what I'm trying to say is like, let's say even in Mallorca, right, where the wheels started to come off on me, right, and I started to feel there was a pinch here and this was slowing me down, and I realized that I was having to walk a lot of it, and then I'm in my head, you know, when the plan just starts going out the window a little bit, you do have those moments where I was like gone for like 10 and a half, 11 hours. All of a sudden now it's like, fuck man, I could be out here for 13 hours. And that's, I'm actually saying that to myself. And that's only 13 hours. Like, and I'm sort of saying, man, I'm going to be out here. I'm never going to get this done, you know? So like, we'll say you're on track, right? You're doing what you're doing. And I'm thinking the weather slowed you down a bit, right? So then you could have been thinking that maybe I'm going to be 28, 29, 30 hours, right? But then if you're like when the weather was hitting in hard, were you thinking, "Oh man, this could be a 33, 34, 35, 36, could be longer. I might never get this finished. I could be out here forever like."
Well, I was still hitting the splits.
Mm.
So it was just the aid stations were taking longer through that night section or those night sections because one of them I had to stop and do a full change of clothes. I had put on the thermal leggings. Never, I've never done that. I've raced in
Yeah.
bad conditions in the Alps and the Pyrenees. I've never put on thermal bottoms, but it was part of the mandatory kit, and I thought I have to carry them. Just put them on. And
Yeah.
honestly, I mean, they made a difference. I was not cold. Like, yes, this little part of the face was cold, but what are you gonna do? But the hands, two pairs of
Yeah.
gloves, the outer gloves were waterproof mitten, and they were really wet and cold because they're holding the poles. The pole gloves are wet too, so it seeps through,
Yeah.
and so that it's just like it was slower in aid stations because I think it was 45 minutes on the in one of them, which was the full change and food, and then out, and then the next one I had to try drying my gloves. Like whenever you wring the gloves out, you could near fill 200 milliliter cup with dirty water.
Yeah, and like I don't care. Like I think when my hands go, that's it. Like I find it really, really hard. Like even like on a day-to-day basis at work, if my hands are gone, I'm good for nothing. Like so like the hands are the one thing I don't want to get cold. Like
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, the time was it was getting away. Knew it was getting away, but I knew it was getting away for everyone. I knew
yeah,
that was there was a slow 40K in
yeah.
that race for everybody. So you know,
There was, man, there was a humongous DNF rate or dropout rate in your race. Like there was so many people that, like it started off. I'm not. I can't even remember exactly how many was in your race, but there was 4 pages. There was 4 pages to go through on the tracker link, and I would say two and a half, maybe not even two and a half of those pages of names finished the race, and everyone else was a DNF. Like so, obviously it was extreme conditions. Like.
I actually thought they might stop the race. I thought it was too
Mm,
dangerous in the night because whenever you go up to like elevation, you go along this plateau. One side of it's a cliff, and at sections they had it taped just in case you didn't know that it was a cliff. But the wind was bashing the side of this escarpment and then pushing up. So you'd see these walls of like water going up in the
jeez.
night, and you're only seeing this through your head torch. It was really hard to see the markers. The markers were blown off the trees. And honestly, like several times, it was a case of you wouldn't see a marker and
Yeah.
you still wouldn't see a marker, and you were just, I'm not stopping, I'm not going back, I'm not backtracking. Show me give me a sign, show me something, and then you would just see a marker. And I'm like, yes. And that happened like 5 times. Thankfully,
Yeah.
never went off course, but it may have just been luck or experience rather than amazing marking through the night because so many of the markers had blew away.
Yeah, and that's another thing too. Like that's playing on your mind as well, because every time you take one of those turns and you're heading towards what you think there's going to be a marker, and then there's no marker there, and then it's a long time, and you're thinking, "Oh man, do I need to turn back?" And the last thing you want to do is turn back. Like it just doesn't matter. Like you just don't want to turn back, so you keep pushing forward, and then it's like the sigh of relief when you do see a marker. Like, but it's a very stressful situation. That's what it is.
Yeah. Hit me with some more questions that have come through. For the people who have joined, if you can't stick around, you can catch up on Spotify, Apple, YouTube. The links are in the bio. Go and subscribe, go and follow whatever there. Right, Ricky, what else you got for me?
So we got two. They're all the one question. It's like, what was the highest high of the day, and what was the lowest low of the day?
I would say the lowest, which was maybe, yeah, at the top of the last climb, there was a sign, and you finished in a little village called Dunkeld, and it said Dunkeld 6.7K, right?
Mm,
Legs are done.
yeah,
It's downhill, right? It's all down. It's technical. It's steps. It's shitty ground. And then it's flat for like 4K. See, I use, like, as we were chatting about this in the Trail Talk WhatsApp earlier on, I just use like a lap screen. So on my watch, I use lap time, lap distance, lap ascent, and descent. And whenever I leave an aid station, I hit lap, and I know this next section is 16K with 1,000 meters up, 600 down, whatever. And then I can just see the progress. See from 6.8K uh, remaining, see the next 2K. It was like, oh my God, this is taking forever. And I just said to myself, you need to just run down this. This is taking too long. And I only started running, and I'm sure like the run was like 2% quicker than the walk, but I started running after like pitying it for 2K because it was just taking so long.
yeah,
That was a low. I just wanted it over. And I think it's because in the last aid station, I just come into it and I was thinking about the time, and I was doing like split maths in my head, thinking, no, if I kind of need to move well to get under 33.
Yeah.
And yeah, so that kept me moving, but
But
it was a
it's
low.
that little shuffle, isn't it? Though it's that little shuffle. It's like you're hardly moving. Everything is hurting, but it's just a little bit quicker than walking. I know that shuffle, man. I know that shuffle. I've been there. I've done that. But it's like I just want this to be over. Like
Well, see, when you get down off the last hill, the last mountain, the if you looked straight up, you could see not the finish, but you could see the roof of where the finish was, right? It was about 400 meters just over two fields. They took us out and back 4K on flat, no elevation, on a single track that basically tracked up a river and tracked down the other side of the river and then up. And I'm like,
it's
what?
there. It's
What the
there.
fuck? And I was
Mm.
chatting to Caleb Olson at the prize giving, and he said, "Oh, I really enjoyed that flat section at the end. I got to open up the legs." I'm like, "Are you kidding me?" I was doing like 10-minute Ks thinking these are fives.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, yeah, I would say that was the low. High? I mean, I don't know if I don't think I maybe had a particular high. There's no high
But
starting out.
But something that you'll take away, something that you remember, like a fond memory that you remember.
Maybe should have looked
Come
at these
on, there has to be
questions.
something.
I mean, the in terms of like the whole experience, I think the takeaway was how well the race was organized. But like you hear this a lot, but I just felt like everything was really slick from
Mm.
the like the kit check to the race start to the transport to the vibe in the town to the social media stuff that they were doing to like it's a community style event, but honestly, like the quality of everything is like number one, top class, like first class type of event.
I will say like their social media for the whole day was very, very good. It was really good. It was actually like top class, really easy to follow. The tracker wasn't great, I will say that, but I mean on the social media side of things, what they were doing on Instagram, they were chasing the leaders, the lead women, you know what I mean? You popped up on it a few times as well. It was actually class. I enjoyed following it throughout the day, like, because it's hard to follow a 100 mile race, and they did a really good job at just updating the Instagram stories all day long. So that was
I think
great.
that's better than the whole live stream follow cam thing. Like I would honestly rather follow the race through snippets of stories than just the follow cam with commentators in a studio not really knowing what's going on. Like
Yeah,
because with a vertical video on social media, you can tell the story in 30 seconds and you can come away going, "Oh, that person's chasing that person, they're here, this part of the
yeah,
course."
yeah.
And not sit on flipping YouTube going, who's
Where
that?
are they? Yeah,
Because
who's
and the
that? Where
commentators
that?
don't even know
Yeah,
what they're doing.
yeah.
So that
Who's your man in the white shorts? Like, you know what I
yeah,
mean? From a distance,
could
in a
people in the
blurry
chat let us
picture.
know? Yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
I'm
yeah.
I'm so over that. But it's good you pointed out that that I made it onto the socials. That was David.
50K in, I think, was it? That was about 50K in.
No, but it was before that. It was before that. But that was David did the follow cam, and I said to him afterwards, he kind of caught me like I'm normally the guy following somebody into an aid station,
Mm.
but he picked me up coming in, followed me all the way through and then out again. And it was a nice little kind of distraction. It was pretty cool, but I was also thinking like, Jesus, I'm not normally the guy on camera. I'm normally the guy with
Mm.
the camera. So
I
that was
thought it was
fun.
class. I thought that was class. Yeah, because it was cool because even like would say I know a few people that like downloaded that, and put that up on their own socials then because it's cool to see that there's somebody there. I think you were the only Irish person in the race as well, so it's nice to get that out there as well. Say yeah, come on, Shimons, let's go.
There was definitely some Irish, but none of them registered. as Irish because they're living in Australia. Um,
Ah,
yeah, there's Ruben in the chat saying he was the sweeper in the race and he brought in the final finisher in 49:51 and he was in his late 60s. That's
wow.
amazing. Like if I could be doing that in my late 60s, that would be so cool. Massive
That's,
respect. And also like pace or sweeping a course like that is no joke either. So good job, Ruben.
well done,
Right,
Ruben. Yeah.
back to
Yeah. So
you.
like, what would you do differently if you were to run this race again? What are your takeaways?
I know my weakness here. I suspected it before this race, but stairs.
Mm,
Like give me a 15% grade and you just shorten your stride. But whenever it's stairs and there are one of them might be 4 inches, one of them might be 12 inches, one of them might be 18 inches, it's just like the RPE for stairs is like the base level's higher. So
yeah.
it I could just feel like for the first this will be mad too for you like, but the first 80K of the race, people were catching me on the stairs and I could see them coming. And I luckily I was able to, without burning matches, just pull away again or pass them back on the descents. And then it was only in the second half of the race that I was equalized with them as they slowed down. My pace kind of stayed similar on the climbs, and I was still able to pass them on the descents. So if there was one takeaway, it would be I need to do stair stuff.
And like, how much of the climbs? How much of the course was like that with the stairs?
Most of them.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of them either because look, again, when you're 5'2", no stairs are fun. Hey, they're not fun, and they're just so taxing because whether you're walking them, running them, coming up them, going down them, they're just not a natural thing to be moving on, and you're just moving. You're working your glute, your hamstring, your calves, your quads. You're actually working everything. Whereas in sometimes it's nice to get a climb because a climb will break up and get you using a different muscle group. And then when you attack the down or you attack the flat, you're using another muscle group that you wouldn't like breaking down. But those stairs just break down everything.
Yeah, like whenever you're descending and part of the descent is stairs, there's more trauma involved in every step.
Yeah.
There's more impact. So that definitely wears you down. And like I feel I had sore feet in the race, but afterwards, like I messaged Andy Glaze and said, I think your haters might be onto something because my knees are really sore.
Yeah.
Like feet, knees, and hips were like pretty sore after the race.
Yeah, well, that was like the next question was your feet. Was there any bad issues with your feet? And we'd say, was it more from the terrain or was it from the weather?
Um, so no major issues. I did like stop and have to tighten them twice because just see with that uneven ground, I
Mm,
found that the front of the foot was slipping a little bit. Now the shoes were still locked well, but I needed to lock them down more because I could feel that the foot was getting hot just from the gradient of the surface. Uh, but And then it was wet as well, so like there was a bit of trench foot going on. The feet were soft and white underneath with gullies appearing that
yeah,
then filled up with dirt. But I changed socks twice, and I never had like I think I had maybe a bit of a blister on my ankle, but I didn't feel
yeah,
it. Like I had so really the feet were good. I had
that's
no
good.
real
Yeah, because
issues.
I saw so much trench foot coming out of their socials. Like everybody, like that finished that race, once they had their socks off, their feet were like that really, really white color, and like you said, like gouged out of it. There was drains in their feet, like you know.
Yeah, I had that,
Yeah.
and it quickly, they quickly dried out after the race. I took some
Mm.
pictures of my feet. I'll stick them in the Trail Talk WhatsApp
The
after the show.
OnlyFans, the
But
OnlyFans WhatsApp group.
They're going into the junkyard. So if you're in the Trail Talk WhatsApp community, go into the junkyard. I'll stick my some food pics in there. Thankfully, it's got disappearing messages, so after 24 hours, they will be gone.
Mm.
Yes.
We'll get into some gear questions after, but one more question about like the race in itself and like what would you say is the best way to prepare for this race?
Uh, I mean, I don't know. Like, I'm happy with how I prepared. Like, I
Mm,
did all that I could. Um, I felt like I was able to run the whole way through the race. That just the pace got slower in the running, but whenever I needed to run, even if it was an incline, I was able to run that. And I honestly don't believe that's been the case in a lot of milers.
mm,
It gets to the point where you're you can only run if it's gravity assisted. It wasn't the case. I was able to run that last 4K, but I was able to run climbs as well whenever I was trying to close in on somebody. So I'm happy with the training. Uh,
good.
steps, steps is the
Yeah,
main thing. But that's
yeah.
like an Australian thing. Like I recognize that in the Blue Mountains for Ultra Trail Australia. Uh, I need to do that type of training.
Yeah, even myself, like when I was doing Majorca, you know the way you just go to another country and you recognize what their sort of like trails are like, and I was like going, yeah, like if I was to come back here, I'd want to do a lot more work on steps and like on really, really rocky, like bouldery kind of stuff, but mainly steps. I found that there was so many steps, and when you're not used to running on steps, it just smashes you, it breaks you down, like so.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like
that'd be a takeaway.
the climbs, I felt this the whole way through the race, and I said it to lots of people that I was maybe running with, that the vert really came easy in the race. You were maybe going into a section and it was 20K with 1,000 meters, and uh, you're like, before you knew it, you had 500, then you had
Yeah.
800, then you were done. It was never hard vert. Like getting 1,000, 2,000 meters in the Aosta Valley, and you're getting some 35% grades in part of that. And
Mm.
as you get closer to the call, it's going to kick up that when you're furthest into the climb, it's hardest. The vert it was easy vert. It was just the stairs parts. Like the single biggest climb in the race was 1,200 meters at, I think, 87K. It's coming at 87K. And we were chatting after the race, and I said to Caleb, "I bet you ran all that because it was like such an easy grade." And he goes, "Yeah, I ran some of that. It felt like it was like 9%. I don't know what it was, but it was so easy to like really hike it fast."
Yeah.
Uh, so yeah, all good.
Yeah. Gear. We've got to talk about gear, especially for all the lads and ladies in the WhatsApp groups. But like everyone wants to know how the 330, the Irish colored 330s held up in the race. Like there was lots of mud, lots of rain. How did they
They're
hold
in
up?
that they're in that white bag there. They're sealed and locked. They should probably be sitting outside. The 330s were great. Uh, the traction, the comfort. It's hard to know whenever your feet are sore, but I guess my feet would
Mm,
have been sore in anything. But I think the good question on that is, would you wear them again? The answer is yes. I definitely pick them
that's good.
again.
Yeah. Yeah, that's that. That's that. That's that. Um, then there's a wildlife question, which is any wildlife, any snakes, spiders. I'm guessing you came across a few snakes and spiders.
No snakes. It may have been too cold
Haha.
for snakes.
Yeah.
They, I think a few people did say they thought they saw a snake. Um, I saw none of that. I saw, like, for a start, this whole area is mad on wildlife. There's so much. Like, it feels like there's like a kangaroo for every person. There's so many. Like,
Yeah.
the kangaroos are just in town, just sitting looking at you. You're walking past
Yeah.
him, and he's just like looking up at you, chewing a bit of grass or something. But during the race, I saw a couple of deer. I saw a wallaby, which is like a smaller. They look like a kangaroo, but they're smaller and darker. I saw a, a blue-tongued lizard, which is blue-tongued lizard is about probably about this size. It's really fat and a big fat tongue. I saw one of those on actually it was on the last climb, and it was the last climb. I was thinking about the finish time, and I was like, if this wasn't at this point in the race, I'd be taking a photo of you, but the phone wasn't coming out. I didn't take the phone out much.
Yeah.
I took a couple of videos in the first day, and then when the bad weather was in, the phone was away, and I didn't have any reason to take it out later on in the
Yeah,
race
sure.
either.
Like even I messaged you. I'd say you were probably like coming up on 100K, I'd say, and I just messaged you just to see. I wanted to hear something from you, just check in, make sure you were alive, make sure you were still moving, and I got nothing. I got radio silence, so
There
I'm
was no
guessing you were
signal.
just in it, you know?
I
Yeah,
tr I checked my I checked the phone at 50K aid station, and I sent my wife a message because I tried to use a tracker. I wanted to save my position in the masters category, which is 40 to 49,
yeah.
and I just couldn't figure out how to work it. And I got a volunteer and said, "Can how do you figure like, I just want to see my position on this." And he was like, "I don't know." I'm like, "Fuck this," and I just put it away. And then I was kind of pissed off with the phone for the rest of the race.
Well, I couldn't figure that one out either. Like, I could figure out, like, on the tracker, all I could figure out was where you were and the checkpoints that you had gone through and the time that you were in the race. And that was all. You know, you could see a position, but it wasn't telling you a position. It was just giving you the list. And I just assumed that's the position you were in. And I think that's what it was. Like, and you were steadily climbing. In fairness, you were steadily climbing all day. You were like in 34th, to 30th for a long, long time. And then all of a sudden you're getting closer to that like 25, 24, 23. Like, so you were consistently moving up all day. That, like, had you known that in the race at the time?
Yeah, totally. Because I knew that I would say that one of the differences I see in Australian trail running with European is that I think people might run with a little bit more ego, and I don't mean it in like a negative way, but like I
Mm,
felt like a lot of people were gonna go out too quick, and it wouldn't be sustainable. And like that's why at the start of the race, I didn't run. I
mm,
walked. I hiked that first climb, and I knew there was people running it that shouldn't be running it.
yeah.
But I hiked it, and I think the gap for the hike was still like 6 minute gap, so it was totally fine. So I just felt like the race would come to me.
Mm,
You're not really. You can only. It's about who slows down the least,
yeah.
and so that was my strategy. But I would go into aid stations, and I would 2 bottles of water, 3 bottles of water, 4 bottles of water, whatever I had in my bit of paper that I would need for the next section, whether it was 2 to 4 hours. Grab something and go. Swap my empty flask for a full flask into the belt so it was easy to get. There's people sitting in there they had crews. You got a crew, you're gonna sit down and they brought you a burger and chips. Well, guess
Mm,
what? I'm passing you here.
yeah.
See you
Bye
later.
bye. Bye bye. Yeah.
So, like, I wouldn't say in the first half of the race I was even passing anyone on course. Like I was at best holding my own, but I would just come into the aid station and go, yeah, there's 4 people. And then some of them would catch you, but then as the race went on, like that less of that happened. So yeah, that worked
Yeah,
out
but
fine.
if that's if like that's the problem too. That's the habit people get into sometimes, where they will stop and they will take a few minutes at that first or second aid station. But then that will turn into like 10, 15 minutes at the next aid station. And they might come out of that aid station and they might catch you. But the next aid station, they'll sit in that one for 20 minutes to half an hour. And then eventually, the longer that race goes on, they ain't catching you because they could just about get out of that aid station. They're fighting that sort of like, maybe I'll just drop, you know what I mean? And their crew is working very, very hard to keep them on the course. But that's always the way I see those ones go. When you see that person that you keep seeing them in the aid stations. You know, they might pass you outside the aid station, but the next aid station you get into, you'll see them and you go, man, why are you still here? Like you're surely there 10 minutes before me. And then I'm gone, you're gone, you know what I mean? And they might catch you, but eventually they break down. They break down, yeah.
That's just how it went, and I recognized that rhythm or how that was working, and it was that way all day.
Yeah. Like I suppose my question on the mandatory gear is right. We hate carrying mandatory gear. Like I don't want to carry anything, but I'd like to know out of all the mandatory gear, how much stuff you actually use. I would reckon you use nearly all your gear. Like,
I mean, the only thing I didn't use was the space blanket and the snake bandage. Everything else was used.
yeah,
Like, I had on during the night, I had on thermal long bottoms. I had waterproof bottoms. I had thermal top, another top, two long sleeve tops, the raincoat, the buff on my neck, a beanie on my head, my hood up, and the head torch over the hood to keep it from blowing off.
I,
And two pairs of gloves. Everything was on.
and where was this race again? In
I know,
Australia,
I
for
know.
fuck's sake.
Mate, I bring the bad
Yeah,
weather. I only
yeah, I'm
race in
telling
the
you.
shit weather.
Yeah. Well, look, we said it. We said a Ricky Wynn brings the sun, and you bring that, man. You brought it. You brought it to Andorra a couple of years ago, and then you brought it. You brought it to Australia, man, the hottest country in the world.
Ultra Trail Australia was raining, right? Ball
Yeah,
Graham Round was raining and windy. UT Lac last spring was stopped in a rainstorm. I could keep going.
yeah, yeah. I never want to run with you. Actually, yeah, because we did Dartmoor together, and that was a shitty day as well. So what I say. Yeah,
I don't know
yeah.
what it
So
is, but you know what? Like one of the things I was thinking about during that race was because I got through the night section, and then after that kind of 40 Ks of like bad weather, the sun comes up. It's not as bad as you know as it is through the night. You're getting a little bit of solar heat as well. And I was thinking, right, you need to invest in really good gloves, a couple of pairs of really good gloves. That was the only thing that slowed me down, I think,
mm,
through the night. It was like I was thinking, these hands couldn't do another section like this,
yeah.
but thankfully they didn't have to. Like the next section, there was a bit more like tree cover. Um, so the hands got time to warm up.
What was the finish line vibes like? Like we'd say, how were you feeling coming down the home straight, knowing that you were going to cross the line, knowing that you like conquered that last DNF that you had back in May, that you got to the finish line, that you were going to get that belt buckle.
I kind of felt like I felt from quite early on that this was going to be no problem. I had to worry about the ankle because
Mm,
I've even rolled it since, but not anything major, not a Tecton X3 roll, if you know what I mean.
yeah, yeah,
And I didn't, I had one fall during the race, and it was because I slipped, like my heel slipped off a step, which cramped my calf, which made me fall. But other than that, I didn't kick a stone.
yeah,
And that was so, like, I gained so much confidence through that race going, like, this is as technical as it gets for, like, just regular trail running and, like, on the flats and stuff or relative flats. And it wasn't an issue. So I just felt like we are good here
yeah,
from early on. The last 30K was pretty hard because it was sore. Energy was starting to go. I guess one point I definitely had a little bit of, uh, my head kind of went a wee bit funny, and I thought I was speaking out loud because I thought it would maybe help, and then I
yeah,
thought, I think you might be talking shite. I think you might be talking rubbish here, and straight away I had uh, caffeine gum which I hadn't used before, but I tested it a couple of times, and like the science behind caffeine gum is that is the quickest way to get a caffeine hit. So I popped two of these pieces of gum, which is about 200 milligrams, like two coffees worth, and started chewing that. 15 minutes later, your man was rocking. I was motored on. So that sorted it out.
Yeah, but even we say, like, I know you had the caffeine to get you out of that, but when you get cold, and if you've been cold for hours and hours as well, like, man, it gets into your bones, and it doesn't matter what you're doing. It's like you can't warm up. It's like, how are you fueling when you're that cold? Like, I know that if that was me, I'd struggle to keep on top of my hydration, especially because once I start getting cold, the last thing I want to do is be drinking something, unless it's soup or something.
Yeah, I would say like when it got cold, I dropped off on water. So I started to take one bottle less than what I'd planned because I didn't want to carry it.
Yeah,
But yeah, you're totally right. It was harder to take gels, but again, I had them in the soft flask and I had an alarm on my watch every 30 minutes, just nutrition. And I just knew that if you don't react to the alarm and take the nutrition, you might as well start digging the hole.
yeah, yeah,
So even if I looked at my watch and I could see it was an hour and 25 and that alarm was gonna go, I knew that alarm's gonna go off in 5 minutes. I would just take the squirt of the gel then. And then I knew it's done. I was looking at my watch anyway. I think going forward, you could fuel better through the night in bad weather if I'd maybe swapped to liquid calories. Like if I was just
yeah,
having the drink from the bottle and I was getting the hydration and carbs, I think that would be the way to go there.
yeah, yeah, because then you're relying on that gel. You're relying on that gel, and that's the last thing you want. It's just rank at that stage. You just don't want it, and you're
But it
nearly
was under the
forcing
raincoat
it
as
into
well.
you. Yeah,
It was in the raid belt, it was under the raincoat, so you're having to like lift the raincoat out, get it out. Everything was wet, and so yeah, if it had just been here and you were squirting the bottle, it would have been great.
yeah, yeah. Um, like race is done. Belt buckle's got. No injuries, no niggles. Seems like the only thing that's wrong with you is a few swollen legs. That's all, right? Like,
Yeah, just checking them here. Yeah, not too bad, not too
yeah.
bad.
So everyone wants to know what's next for Aaron.
What is next? Oh, I'm doing Kosciuszko UTMB 50K in 2 weeks.
In 2 weeks. I actually forgot about this. I forgot you were doing because yeah, let's go.
I forgot
In
about
two
that
weeks.
too. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So I just have to recover. I don't have to get fit. And it's only
No.
50K. Whenever
Yeah.
you've just
Yeah.
run 162, 50K is like, oh, Jesus, sure, I'll be done by lunchtime.
Yeah. 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 Deadly. Deadly.
But I'm actually working at that event as well, doing media stuff. So uh, I'll definitely be there. I'm going get a couple of stones while I'm at it. Get the experience of the event. Like I signed up
Yeah.
not because I wanted to race the 50K. I just signed up to the 50K because I'm going to be there. I might as well do a race, get a couple of stones, see what the event is like compared to UTA, which is the other UTMB event here. And then I kind of just want to, I've got some other stuff. I'll probably not do another race or ultra until after Christmas. But if there's other shorter races, I'd certainly jump into them. But
Mm.
like next year is looking very, very busy. So I'm gonna use the next lot of months as a to train those weaknesses like stairs and try and get back into a bit more strength stuff.
Class. Yeah. Yeah. In terms of like, I suppose, um, the day after the race, was there like prize given? Were you hanging around there, or did you head off straight away, or
No,
were you
no,
hanging around there?
I stayed like I finished on Saturday late afternoon, even like 5 o'clock or something p.m. or maybe before that. And then you had to get a bus back. But like, this is how friendly Australia is. Like they, the bus driver, this woman, right? And she gave me a lift back to Hall's Gap, which was the main like HQ. Went in and got my drop bags, brought them out to me, and then drove me onto the hostel and left me there. The drive was over an hour.
Wow.
Like it was over 100 k's of a drive, and we just chatted the whole way about trail running and
Just
books
you
and
and her.
just me and her. Yeah, yeah, there's no one else to go on the
Wow.
bus.
Yeah. That's mental.
I said to her,
That's mental.
if it wasn't like cold and in need of like wash and sleep, we could just chat forever here. This is good
Yeah.
crack.
Yeah. There at UTMB Mallorca, like would say I saw people at the end of that race and it was like 2 o'clock in the morning. They had to wait until 5:30 in the morning to get a bus back to where they got the bus in the morning, you know? Like hanging around after running for the whole day and night, like, you know, and they had to wait until 5:30.
The organisers had two buses on rotation, so basically, I think the longest anyone would wait would be an hour for a bus, and maybe you were getting the bus like me on your
J-
own.
Just on your own. Wow, that's class. That's class. Yeah, that's class.
And then the next day there was prize giving and like a dinner and all of these things and then pictures and stuff and they got everyone by the by one of the arches and like all the finishers they called us all out by name, which is something that they do at the Tour de Jean. They call every finisher out by name and they go up on the stage for
Yeah.
a photo. So they did that, which was pretty cool.
That's class. Yeah, that's class. Like I had serious FOMO watching that because like in my head, like watching that, I forgot I've done like 100 mile race, right? So all I was thinking was, man, I want to do more hundreds. I want to do more hundreds. That's what I was saying. Like I was saying, I think I'm going to start moving up to hundreds now for next year, you know. And then
Sure you
that's
are.
just because I was watching that. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, hopefully, yeah, yeah.
But like let's put it into context. Caleb ran 21:19
Mm,
for this course. There's definitely some slowness because of that weather. So we've got a barometer now of what that course is like compared to a UTMB.
yeah.
So I think for me personally, I performed better at this race than I have ever shown at UTMB, where I've felt like I've never had a good race at all. So um, I was actually thinking, yeah, man, maybe you should go back to UTMB and get that time down.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Because that's how I was actually trying to work it out myself. Like how hard was that race? Because I was looking at Caleb's time, right? And then I'm thinking, well, Caleb Olsen is training for UTMB. He's the winner of Western States, so he's the real deal. So if he wants to run well at UTMB, he's got to run UTMB in under 20 hours or around 20 hours. And if he was 21 out, 21
19.
21:19 for that race. That's a legitimate race. Like that's a solid race. Like because seemingly there's only 7,000 meters of climbing in it compared to UTMB's 10,000, right? And
Well,
you,
I got over 8. And one thing I'll say is, like, did I get like 8.3? The numbers that they have on the website are 7,700. But as I said, there's pretty much no tree cover throughout the whole course, and the GPS was mega accurate. So when I
mm,
was coming down into the 49K aid station, the 87, the 129, all these aid stations were exactly that on the watch.
yeah,
Whenever it said it's 11K and 600 meters to the next aid station, that is exactly what it was. Like they said it was 162K and I got 162.2 or something like that. So it
but
was
with
super accurate.
8,000, yeah, but with 8,000 meters, like that's an extra. Would say what was it advertised as? 7,000,
700. I got like
700. Okay.
500 more than that.
Okay, okay, that's not, in fairness, that's not too bad. They're not out by a lot. They're not out by a lot. Like, yeah, it'd be nice. Like, I always get that sort of like nearly like anxiety when I'm thinking, hold on a second, I have 7,500 meters climbed already. Why am I still climbing? Like, how am I doing more climbing? If it's telling me that there's only 7,700, why am I doing 9,000 meters of climbing? But I mean, look, if it's only out by 500, that's not a massive amount over 162K. Like,
Yeah, Jed in the chat saying Caleb was focused on getting an overnight, and like if you read his Substack, if you watched his interview on one of the earlier trail talks, he said he was looking to get practice, some hardship, maybe some weather, some
mm,
technical 100-mile running. And I said to him at the finish, I said, well, I think you got to practice everything that you felt like you needed to practice. The weather was certainly maybe not as extreme as UTMB, but it went on longer and the ground was more tactical. And he was like, yeah, I got good practice.
well, he finished in his long johns too. Hey, he finished in his long johns as well. I was watching him. I was thinking, man, if he's finishing in his waterproofs or his thermal bottoms, it definitely was cold and wet. Like,
Yeah. And I got to give a shout out to George Knight, who finished second to Caleb.
yeah,
He
yeah,
ran the first 50 to 60 Ks with him. He ran with him in the weeks leading up to the race as well out there. The guy's 21.
yeah. He's class, huh?
21. He finished about 2 hours back on Caleb, but what a talent. Like this
Mm,
guy, he has like a hiking background, not your classic running background, runs with joy, like happy, just a real like nice personality, has no social media.
yeah.
He's coming on the podcast. We're gonna
Ah,
sort out a
nice.
date, but he's one to watch. This also doubled up as the Australian Ultra Trail Championship. So like the best 100-mile runners in Australia were there, and he
Yeah.
obviously as first Australian, he's won that he won that trophy.
Yeah, and like you said, he brings a really good energy, like from like he was in the feed a ton during the day. He's got his wild flowing locks, like he had a big smile ear to ear, and he was waving at everyone, giving everyone high fives, and like that, he was pushing hard. I think he was probably neck and neck. He was in the lead for a little bit as well, like, but he was neck and neck with Caleb Olsen for maybe 80K at that race, like.
And Josh in the chat saying he was in Prestigio Pros. Actually, quite a lot of people were wearing Prodizio Pros. That was probably the most common shoe I saw out there, more than maybe any other. Several Speed Goats, some Tectons. I ran with a guy, Scott, and he was wearing Tectons, and he was all over the shop. I said to him, mate, you're sliding everywhere in these. Like, he was just moving around, and he says, "Oh no, no, they're great. They've got Vibram." I'm like, "I've got Vibram too, but my lugs are longer and they're sharper,
Yeah, like,
and I'm not slipping like you." But La Sportiva have a good presence in Australia, um,
mm,
so I think
ah,
that's maybe why.
I think like, but even saying Mallorca, man, Perdicio Pros like were everywhere in that race as well. I would, I would say that the Perdicio Pro has to be up there with shoe of the year for 2025. Like, there has to be, like, it's everywhere, and everyone that's in it loves it.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. Saw quite a few Mafati fives as well.
I'd say that would be a good shoe for that course. Yeah, if it was slippy and that, like, there's huge lugs, they'd be similar-ish to Kyla's 330. I think the Mafate 5. I think similar-ish, kind of robust, beastly shoe for a course like that. I think it'd be a good shoe, but slightly
Yeah,
heavier maybe than the Kylas.
bigger platform as well. Like the Kailas is only about 270 grams or something. So
Yeah.
right, will we start to wrap it up?
Yeah, yeah. We had you might know some more, but we had some runners from the chat doing their races as well. So we had Joe Warren, who had
This
a
was in
massive
the
race.
UTMB Puglia event.
Puglia, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, the Irish represented hard at Puglia this weekend. So you
shout
had
them
Joe
out.
Warren. Yeah, Joe Warren was like, I'm going to shout him out because he's one of the trail talkers. Like, Joe was seventh in the 85K. And Sorka Loughlin, Sorka, who you met up in the
Mourne.
Moors this year, she actually stamped her ticket to CCC with a third place finish at Puglia 85k, which is
Result?
incredible. Yeah, absolutely incredible. And then we had Enda Cloak in the 50k in Puglia. He was ninth overall as well. Like, so another massive race there in a staggering time of 4:09 for the 50k.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Sharp.
fast. Yeah, fast. Okay. It's there's not a massive amount of vert in that race. I think for 50k, there's only about 1,000 meters of climbing in it, but still 4:09 against a stacked field. Really, really good result for Enda. Yeah.
Yeah. Mel DNF'd, unfortunately, so commiserations to Mel, but that's how it goes sometimes.
And I'm telling you, man, it's for because of lads like Mel. I put that post up. I put that post up the other day on my Instagram about runners blues, and I was thinking of Mel, and I was thinking of like lots of other people, but I was mainly thinking of Mel because, like, he puts his heart in his sleeve, wears his heart in his sleeve. You know what I mean? It's brave. It's brave to go to these races and to toe the line and to be chasing cut-offs. It's so brave, and then it can be so disheartening. But what did he do? Straight away signed up for history of 42k. I'm getting stones, the man says. I'm getting stones, so I'm delighted for him.
Yeah, he has the right attitude about it, so that's great. In terms of, that's all from the community racing, right?
I think so, yeah, yeah.
A couple of podcasts. The podcast with Ben Kubra dropped on Friday, just a couple of hours before the start of the GPT 100. Ben was second at Moab. Check that one out. Good interview. It was in person. And then later on this week, we have a podcast dropping with a friend of the pod, Tom Jolie, after his third place at Grand Trail de Templier.
Mm.
That is another good one. And I think that's us, Ricky.
I think so, yeah. Just a shout out to Ben because Ben was keeping me informed of how you were getting on, especially over the first like 50, 60k. He was able to see you and check the tracker and give info back to me as well. So appreciate that.
Sweet. All right. Thanks for sticking around. Make sure you subscribe on Spotify, Apple, YouTube, wherever you're watching. Drop us a review. We have a ton of reviews now on Spotify, all 5 stars. If you're not leaving a 5 star, don't even bother. Like, we only want fives. So if you think it's a five, go and give us a review. Jump into Trail Talk WhatsApp if you want to ask about gear, nutrition, races, logistics, whatever, banter. I think there's a big conversation going on today about upgrading of watches and whether it's what type of display is the best and like what people think of the Climb Pro on Garmin. Like, I don't know. Ricky, I think it's all about overthinking.
Overthinking, man. It doesn't fucking matter.
All right, mate. I will catch you soon and peace.
Peace.